Okay, so after last time, I think we finished on the turtle, I'm hoping. Um, Otherwise, we're missing one out.
No,
So,
I think that's right.
so what we're going to do is just do the same thing, just a brief overview of what's left then. And then there's a little video at the end just to show the accuracy about the stars on the ground. So the next one in line then, as you're coming down from Cancer, you're coming to Gemini. Um, didn't no canes, believe it or not, showing anything in Gemini. There are some place names, some possibilities, but nothing definitive then. Excuse me. So the Great Twins, but you do have some interesting place names. So right in the middle of it, you have Taran Daisant, and you also have Tir Daigain. And Daigain basically means 40, it means two 20s. So
Hmm.
Dai is 2 and Igain is 20. But if you look at Taran Daisant, I'm sure people are familiar with Taran Daisant. Just means two saints. And basically, there's some kind of, I'm not really sure. I'm going to call it a phallic symbol, but I'm not sure what it is. And you got these two little carvings of saints on there.
Oh, right.
Uh,
Okay. Is it on a stone or?
yeah, it's on a cliff face.
Oh, right. Okay. Cool.
It's marked as an old altar. I think the locals used to call it the Druid altar.
Oh,
Um,
I think I have heard of it actually.
but then some people think it's Christian. I'm suggesting it possibly is even older. Back to, I mean, you got the Great Twins too, and you got Tara and Dysant there for starters.
Hmm.
Um, the thing is, how do you date a rock carving? I mean, it could be any age, and it could be stuff added on later. Um,
Absolutely.
so
Yeah.
the two,
If it's old, if it's that old, it could be Druidic, it could be Christian,
yeah,
it could be all
it could
of the
be
above.
both. It could,
Yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely.
So you don't know. It might be just a coincidence that there's two. They were originally, I suppose, two faces carved on there, and that's where the two saints come from. Um, that might be a coincidence, but I just put it in here just to show in this area of the twins, you got these
Yeah.
two saints
Yeah.
connection.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I mean, I'm not sure how you could clear that one up if it is or isn't, but
Mm.
but yeah, then you've also, like I said, another place here you got Tir Daigain, and Daigain is 40, basically two 20s. But if you split it up, Dai means two pair couple, and Gain or the is mutated form of Cain can mean fair, beautiful, or bright. So it could mean the bright two, as in celestial in nature then.
Mm.
Um, there's a lot of other stuff around this area which I could go into now, but it just confuse things, but which will be coming up when I start doing the Epic of Gilgamesh. Um, there are sort of areas around here that right, I'm not going to go any further with that. Otherwise, I'll confuse. I'll go down off on a tangent.
We'll get to that later. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that'll be it for another day. Um, so you got some names which are uh, suggestive of then. So, or something on the ground. For the start, it's the star Pollux is on the ground, right in the exact location, is a pillow mound. Um,
Mm.
Now, normally pillow mounds, when you see them on the ground, if anybody doesn't know, it's an artificial warren. But the
Breeding
place,
rabbits. Yeah.
that's it, yeah. But the place names normally around these warrens will have Warren in it, like Penrue Warren or just the Warren. This one doesn't and is in the right place. So I don't know if something's gone on there. But that's where Pollux would be, and it's sort of, let me get my bearings a bit. It's on Mynydd Gelli we on anyway, just to the west of Pontypridd. Um, so that's a possibility. You got then Castor, which is on the hillside called the Graig, which means the stone. So there could be something there.
Mm.
You got one of the other stars, Meb Suta, I think that's how it's pronounced. There's a pen tower in there, so like the chief or prominent mound. And then you have Alhina. Now, I tried to find this on one of Ross's shows. He had somebody on. I think they were from Beardside, and the rugby club there. The guy was showing him around, and I can't remember his name, and I can't find it. He said this area used to be called the Tumps, and it's just all these small little mounds. But that's where the star Alhina would be. So right in Beardside. So you've got possibilities there, but there's nothing definitive for any star, which is all. I always find that disappointing. But
yeah, is there other pillow mounds around the pillow mound, if that makes sense?
No, it's just on the excuse me, on the Ordnance Survey map. It's just got one pillow mound.
Have you seen it?
Only on the Ordnance Survey. I haven't been there. Only on the Ordnance Survey.
Because one thing I'd say is pillow mounds on a LiDAR or something, they look very distinctive, like very clear and distinctive. And
this
also
is in the middle of a forest.
And the other thing is, I say, is well, I mean, I'm no expert, but whenever I've come across them, they're never by themselves.
Yeah. This one's on the survey map is on its own, just one.
I would. I definitely think that's worth more investigation.
Yeah,
there.
I mean, there's a group of pillow mounds, and they like you said, they stand out on LiDAR. They like rectangles.
Yes, very clear.
Yeah, very, very clear. And the area is called Penrhyn Warren, and the name Warren gives it away. Yeah. But this doesn't have that. But I couldn't get any clear LiDAR. Like I said, is covered in trees at the minute. So
yeah.
But that's why I put it down as a possibility.
Yeah, I think that's a good possibility. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's always baffled me why they want to build an artificial warren on top of a mountain.
Yeah. But unless they were doing something else, if there's something obvious else there, like they were mining or something, maybe. Yeah. But yeah, it seems like a long way to go just to get your rabbits, isn't it?
That's it, yeah. But they could have. You can't say they didn't, like, but because I know the one lot, they are on top of the mountain, and you got house platforms nearby.
It's cheap land as well.
Yeah. So, like I said, with the Great Twins, there's also an argument that the actual two characters of the Great Twins represent Gilgamesh and Enkidu. So it could be that relationship are partly telling the story. So whether those two little figures are not actually saints, but if they are old, which I can't prove, then could it be representations of these two characters? But like, unfortunately, I don't think that's something that could ever be shown either way. Only just
not without more evidence. Yeah.
So it's only like a remote possibility. Then call it that. Okay, so that's the Great Twins. So from there, we're going to go down to Orion. There's a couple of controversial things in this one, which I'm putting out there because anyway. So Orion is also known back in the day as the true shepherd of Anu. Now I've shown two stars here. The first one is Betelgeuse. On old maps is marked as a cromlech. On a modern map, I think it's just got burial mount or burial chamber. Same thing.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
So a dolmen sort of thing.
Yeah, and that's did that work in? And that's there. And right by it you got Kai ar Arfai, which means weapon, arm, mightiest or finest. Now it's got here, this is from Richard Hinckley Allen, the stars in their law. And the star was also designated by various Arabian authors as Al-Mankib, the shoulder, Al-Dira, the arm. So you got Craig Arfai meaning the arm, and that star was identified as the arm. So you got an arm there as such then, where Betelgeuse is. Now, what is I struggle with this idea, but where Betelgeuse is down here, right next to it is Rue Saison. What is uncanny that up on the Gwynedd Star Mound, Hugh Evans, he has Betelgeuse as Mynydd Rue Saison. So now you've got the same star in two different locations with the same name. Now, it's generally believed that this Rue Saison basically means Saxon, the ridge of the Saxons. And up on that hill, it looks like it is 40, well, it is 45, not looks, it is 45, is where one of the battles with the Saxons took place. So the question is then, did the Saxons ever invade or have a battle up in North Wales on Mynydd Rue Saison? Because I think it's too much of a coincidence. And when you think about it, battles are not generally named after one, the losers, and they're not generally named after people. They're named after generally places.
Yeah. Not vice versa.
Yeah, it's named after the place rather than. I mean, would they have actually given somebody who they've defeated, immortalized them in the name of a mountain? So, well, anyway, I thought, well, I'm going to have to look into this a bit more. So, next bit down, you've got the title Mersam from Al Merzim, the roarer, or perhaps the announcer, originally used for Gamma, which is Bellatrix, also applied to this as heralding the rising of his companions. So, Betelgeuse and Bellatrix could both be called then the roarer or the announcer. So then if you split the word saison down into two words, you've got say, which can mean a woolen cloth. And this concept in old Welsh tales of the cloak of invisibility. I mean, things don't actually go invisible. Are they just saying in this instance that it was below the horizon? And then it's waiting for it to rise up and show the rest of the constellation. Because the second part then, son, means word, announcement, or message. So then the name then makes sense of this star being called the announcer, announcing the arrival of the rest of the constellation. I'm not sure if that's a good.
What do you think, Adam?
Has he gone?
I'm here. Yeah, I'm not sure what to add on the end of that, really.
I mean, so Alma's that is so.
The reason why, if Hugh Evans had Betelgeuse as
of course,
Rue Saison up in North Wales, I wouldn't even consider this. But now you've got the same star, two different locations with the same name.
That's amazing. Yeah.
What do you think about this woolen cloth aspect? That's just I mean, the fact that you've got report, word, announcement, and Al Merzim is the roarer or the announcer, or the herald. And it's great. But the Psy woolen cloth threw me off. Is it just sort of like the most appropriate thing you could come up with?
That's the only thing I could find with the Welsh word. But when you read a lot of this old Welsh literature, this idea of an invisibility cloak, which back in the day, I should imagine, would have been made out of.
So
you've got this invisibility cloak. Is that invisibility cloak then? Because in real life, people can't put a cloak on and go invisible.
No.
So it's got to mean something else.
Yes. Yeah.
So does it mean in this instance that it's hidden below the horizon, and it's invisible? So it's got this cloak of invisibility, and then when it comes out, it announces and say, "Look, there's the rest of the constellation."
Yeah.
Ah, cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't follow it so well the first
Oh,
time. I get it a bit better now. Yeah, because Orion does dip in and out, doesn't he?
Yeah, it's not always above the horizon.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's regarded as a winter constellation, so generally it's below the horizon. You don't see it in the summer months.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then on there, I've just marked the location of Safe or Safe, which is a mott. They tend to be, all these motts tend to be on old maps, tumulus.
Yeah.
You rarely see the word mott, if ever, unless there's a big obvious one. But they all used to be marked as tumulus.
Interesting. So do you think there was a period where people went around deciding that things that people weren't sure what they were, so just called them tumulus? They decided it was a mott instead.
I don't know if they've actually gone round and excavated all these.
No, absolutely
motts.
not. No.
They probably done one. They think, well, this is what it looks like. This is what it's like. But if you look at the description of a mott and then look at the description of a tumulus without the wooden bit on it, you couldn't really tell them apart.
Absolutely. And one of Adam's favorite things to talk about is the Normans seeking a metaphysical domination. And an easy place to build a mound is where there's already a mound. Yeah. And if that mound's already important to the local population,
you make repurpose it.
Yeah, you make it even bigger and put your castle on top of it. It's a bit of a statement, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I see no contradiction in what if they marked as motts and
no.
Yeah. So with Orion, you also got the Garth Mountain is up here. So it's still within the constellation of Orion, but the belt would be down here.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the place name suggests that the belt would be down there, the constellation. But when you put that constellation in the backdrop of all the other constellation, that's the only place it can be.
Okay, yeah.
But a lot of the stuff is still within the constellation, but offset then, some of the bigger stuff. And so they... I included that in there. So anyway, on here's the belt of Orion here. Now that belt of Orion, you got pointer stars in astronomy. So those three stars, if you go to on this map now to the left or to the west, you'll come across where Sirius would be because they point towards Sirius.
Yep.
So up this way is Pembuch, Isaf, and Ichaf. So that can't be up there. Well, Wilson and Blackett as Orion. I'm sorry, Sirius.
Sirius, right.
They're just totally in the wrong direction. And I believe that is Buch, which is goat, rather than Buch, which is cow. Because that's what they thought. They thought it might be a misspelling of Buch, meaning above and below the cow, Sirius.
Right, okay.
But I think it's still Buch.
Okay.
Which, like I said, I don't know how many will be down the line, but when we go on to the Epic of Gilgamesh, we start going into these bits and pieces and how they start tying in with each other.
Okay, cool. Is that where the belt star? Is that where the belt star names come in as well? You mentioned last time there was a.
Yeah, basically, I'll just do this quickly because I did take something else out here. But anyway, you got the main stars of Orion, like that. Now, in the Epic of Gilgamesh, it describes the shape of Uruk, which is basically a rectangle shape. And in that city live Ishtar, Gilgamesh, and Anu. So I reckon when the Epic of Gilgamesh, or the way they described Uruk, not the physical city now, in the metaphorical star law, that they used these stars as the walls, and then the three people lived in the middle. So it wasn't a person; it was
Uruk. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fascinating. Sorry, I was only asking, did you say you have some place names down in that area which are suggestive?
Right, so I'll just mention one. This one here, which would be Ishtar. This might be slightly out, but around here, where these stars would be coming across there, you have CADW, which is the white throne, and Gwen also means fair maiden. So exactly where that star would be, you've that. Then you have hen staff in the middle, and Nant hen staff. Now Gilgamesh being the true shepherd, of Ramparted, or the shepherd of Ramparted, he's got a shepherd's crook. So you've got the hen staff or old staff, and then the third place here is Sloin Yoli, I think it is. Now, in part of the Epic of Gilgamesh, Ishtar, for example, pleads to Anu for certain things, and that word means to. And I can't remember off the top of my head, but something like to appease or to beg.
Okay.
So you got the three areas with these three possible names.
Fascinating.
But this whole area, you could have 50, 60 names on this little map here, all related to the Epic of Gilgamesh on its own.
Right.
So basically, nearly every name there means something.
Yeah.
I might be exaggerating slightly with that, but you get the idea.
Yeah. Sorry, I took you on a tangent there.
Okay, so we go on to. All right, so I just added those two on you now. Here, that is a tumulus, and that's just outside Llan Harry, and that's where Sirius would be. It's not part of this presentation. And then just across slightly bit further to the left, Wesen is on location where Llanilid is.
Oh, is Wesen a star that's beyond this? Sorry.
No, you know the Coat Llanilid?
Yes, yeah.
Well, that's where Wesen would be, right in that location somewhere.
Really?
That's interesting.
And Wesen and Sirius are known as the bow and arrow, and they point the way.
Yeah, I've heard that before. Yeah.
So what they're pointing the way towards. And then down here, you have, like it's not part of this either, is Canopus, which would be the bow, the front of the ship. Is the bow, is it? Yeah. Of the great ship Argo, which goes all the way up here. And then you have Llanbad Fawr, the great ship, going up that way. So that will go on the outskirts of that then.
So yeah, I can see where the line is going. We did this with that's what I thought. We did this with Martin when we did his star map. You've got the line of Sirius of one star, and then the Belt of the Rhine of 3 stars, and then the 5 stars of the Hyades.
So just quickly touch on the Bull of Heaven. So Aldebaran, which is it's a motte just by outside. It's a garden centre, Morgantown Garden Centre. There's a field behind there, and in the corner of the field is marked as a motte, but in old things. So if you can see on here, you can see it was originally marked as a tumulus.
Tumuli, yeah.
Okay. So, now this is from Thomas Morgan's Place Names of Wales. Now, the word Penturch, he's given 2 meanings for it. The one which is generally used today, which is Penturch, which is headland of the boar. But he said it should be Pen Tir ar Ach, which is the headland of the ox. And he's got in a combe hard by is called Cwm the Cow's Vale, and the extreme end of which bears a striking resemblance to the form of the ox's head. Now, those stars remember up on the Garth now, you got 1, 2, 3 mounds built of a Orion symbolically up there, but not part of the star map. And that would be the center of them, Orrock or Arach or wherever. But if you look at the Welsh, you've got Pen Tir, which is headland. Arach sounds suspiciously like Arach. Arach and Arach. And you got that. And then if you look at a wild bull or wild cattle out in Mesopotamia, they were known as Orach. So you had Orach.
Orach, yeah. Orach.
Gilgamesh was also known as a wild bull.
Which area is he talking about, saying looks like an ox's head?
It's this headland here of the Garth. If you're sort of, the best view is if you're up on the mountain up this way, or coming down this road down here past General Electric Aerospace, you can just look across and you can see it. It could look like any head, even a human head, to be honest with you.
Oh, okay, right.
So it's got that shape, which, but like I said,
it's fascinating though that he seems to be like perceiving part of the star map without even really being aware of it.
Yeah,
through the place names and
But like I said, down here, now you got your, I'll just touch on it, Taff's Well. Taff's Well has the only thermal spring in the whole of Wales. There are no others. Yes, you got across the border in England, but we've only got one. It's only a small thing. It's not particularly big, but on certain days you get the steam coming up. But anyway, in the Epic of Gilgamesh, it does describe how the bull gives a snort, like a steaming breath snort, opens a crack in the ground, and all these soldiers fall in. So if the bull's jaw is here, and you got the main star there, then you got, it's like 5 stars forming a triangle, and he snorts up this way.
Yeah.
Is that what?
I love that.
And there's also, is this like a gap in the valleys as well? Like if we're talking about the crack that opens, there's like a.
And then you got around by here is Castle Cork, somewhere around by there.
All right.
Do you think the Castle is part of the map?
It doesn't appear to be.
Okay.
It doesn't appear to be any of the stars, but could it be something? Yes. But I haven't worked that out, because it's, the older part of it is I don't really know how old the oldest part is. I mean, the newest parts are quite recent. But it doesn't appear to be part of the star map.
That's amazing. That bit about the bull snorting, I think that's incredible.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, it's the further you go, the further you think, I can't show people this. This is messed up.
The weirder it gets, yeah.
The way that like Uruk blends into the bull.
Yeah.
Like with even in not just geographically, but even in the words as well.
Yeah.
You can have Uruk and Urok and Uruk. I mean, that is strange.
Then you got, this is just a side thing. The kingdom of Ur, in the Bible, it's known as the city, where Ur is capitalized, which is interesting then, because the word Ur in Welsh is Ar. So is Ar and Ur?
Yeah.
Again, I don't know with that. I thought, I don't know.
The as in like the, as in
the
the
city,
and PHE, yeah. Whoa. The city. would be Earth.
Yeah. With you.
Yeah. But that was a side note. That was.
Yeah.
Mm.
I'll be up all night thinking about
that. Which is interesting. In the Torah, the Bull of Heaven, it said that the exaltation or the secret place of the moon is located. And when you draw it on the map, what it does, it gives you longitude. Sorry, I always get these two. Let's call longitude for a minute. The one's going round. Latitude, sorry.
East to west is latitude.
Latitude.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it basically gives you how many degrees declination, sorry.
Okay,
yeah. So, well, it gives you the number of degrees, but it only gives you one of the measurement. It doesn't tell you how far across on that line.
Okay.
So if you draw a line across, and what you're going to remember that this is where Albion came from, and the base of that city they were moon worshippers. When you draw this line on the ground, the place that it matches up with is Llandaff Cathedral, where the exaltation of the moon would be.
Nice. Oh, awesome.
And what's is this to do with prophecy, the exaltation of the moon? Is it a phase or?
Well, I don't know to test this idea, but I think some event happened at some stage that these planets were in these positions.
Oh, they're recording a date.
Possibly. That's an idea I'm trying to work with.
Yeah.
Trying to go back several thousand years, and I haven't got the software for it. Is
it's difficult. But but just so I can try and understand what you're saying, they have these references like saying the exaltation of the moon is in this place, but as far as we know, we don't have any idea what they're referring to by the exaltation of the moon. Okay.
No, it's just the place where this planet has its most influence. Then is
right. Okay.
At its strongest power.
Oh yes. Okay. Yeah. Right. Because we were talking about this in terms of the prophecy before, weren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's just another one of these things which is a possibility. But it's not needed for anything I'm really doing, but it'd be nice to.
Yeah. Sure. No, absolutely. Yeah. But as far as Mesopotamian studies going, they don't even really know what they're talking about when they say
not as either been, because a lot of stuff is, first of all, is unpublished. Secondly, there's a lot of stuff which haven't been translated. So there may be some, and I just may not have found it, and they might be up there. But I haven't found anything yet.
Cool.
So if I come across anything, I can always update you. And
that's just fascinating.
Okay, so if we go to the next one now, the Croc. This is a constellation of Auriga, the Charioteer. So I'm just going to point out the main star, which is Capella, the gold star, is marked by a stone kist. If you remember the word Floyd, I mentioned right at the beginning of Henwen.
Yeah.
Just away, right next to where that kist is, or cyst. Is it cyst or kist?
I think people say it differently. I think I think kist vein is like the full word, but then I'm just saying it with a hard C there. But I think kist.
Yeah. Well, anyway, right next to that is Teeth Floyd. And back in when I showed you a Henwen, this word Floyd. I believe it's one of the words they use to identify where a star is. It doesn't mean star, but it can mean faint, pale, but also holy, blessed, which describes the star from their perspective then. So there is an omen which says, if Venus approaches a crook, there will be war. And it does say approaches, not enters, because quite often they say it enters. or reaches, but it says approaches, but it doesn't say that it's actually gone into the crook. So up this top bit up here, hopefully people can see, you got Gwern and Milwa. Now Gwern, as I've shown before, the Gwern could possibly identify the planet Venus. So Milwa means soldier, warrior, fighter. So you got Gwern and Milwa means Venus, the warrior, or the Venus, the soldier. Which then, if you look at the omen, if Venus approaches the crook, there will be war. So you got this place name showing Venus as a warrior figure, and if Venus enters up or approaches our crook, then there will be war.
And the crook's just to the south.
Well, Capella's down here.
Yeah.
Here is Coed Kai Pica. So that's the goat star. So the goat would be sat on his lap, and the horns would be coming up to you to Coed Kai Pica. And Pica just means anything but the point. And then the head will be up this way, not marked by stars, and then it'll go down that way. And this is Mynydd Mayo. I can't find anything as such for that word mayor. And Wilson and Barker had it as the ruler or the leader or the mayor. And this constellation of the crook was regarded as the leader. So you got Mynydd Mayo, this leader, and the crook was regarded as, in fact, there's some argument that it could be Marduk himself.
Right, okay.
Because Capella was used to be known as the Star of Marduk.
Nice.
We won't go any further with that one. There's still quite a few to do.
Just to say, if people want to look at Steve's bibliography, he put the whole thing up at the beginning of the last episode, so you can have a good look at that. And that's got most of the Babylonian star sources and all of them. Yeah.
I do have more, which I'll put up in I could probably add another 2 pages to that, but they're the ones I hardly even look at like that.
Yeah, sure.
So now we got the old man, Perseus. So in Caerphilly itself, this is Caerphilly here, it's Caerphilly Castle there. Just outside Caerphilly, we have Gwern a Domen, the burial of Venus then, or the tumulus of Venus, which we'll go into another time in the descent of Ishtar. When we do that, which may be the next one. Then we got this, which marks the star Myrfach, or Myrfach. Now, in Welsh, Henydd means old man. Now, the modern day village of Sengenydd is up that way. But if you look at Sengenydd itself, the village or town, it was named after the Sengenydd mine. But if you look pre the mine there is I can't find any reference on old tithe maps or anything suggesting that anything up there had anything to do with Sengenydd.
Is in the old was it an old cantref, very small, which went right to the coast, Sengenydd, all the way up?
Yeah, it does go all the way up. It goes from Cardiff, it goes up past you, so it does go through that area. So this is like it is quite long. I think not sure if it goes
it's like long and thin, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't think it goes as far as Merthyr, but it's not far off it. But I understand, I'm not an expert on this, that the lords of Sengenydd were based in Caerphilly. That's where they base is, and that's where I'm not sure where I got this reference from now, but I've written it down there anyway. But in Richard Morgan's Place Names of Wales, I've got it by the side of me, he reckons that Sengenydd is actually the old name of Caerphilly. And he puts an argument for it, saying, no, Caerphilly used to be Sengenydd. And nothing to do with St. Kenneth. Because I think St. Kenneth and Sengenydd, I think they're 2 separate things.
All right.
Because people quite often try to put them together. There was a St. Kenneth, but that doesn't mean he had anything to do with the place name Sengennydd. But it's that Sengennydd area is right where the constellation of the Oman is, which is Hennydd.
Yeah.
So you've got another place name basically telling you that is the constellation of the Oman.
Right.
Awesome.
Right, so I've just put them on now. So we're slowly making our way around. At the end, there'll be I'll get to the end. It'll be easier to explain then. So the next one is the Hired Man or Aries. I found no stars there at all. The only thing I've got is where Hamel would be. If you look at this LiDAR image here, you have this big hillock then. Well, a small hill, it's a hillock. But that's where the star Hamel would be, which is the alpha of the constellation Aries. There is a name of an old bridge there, which matches up with another name with the excitation of Jupiter, which is between Cancer and Leo, is Carn a Wewer or Woower, from the root word grew. But Aries is at the age of Marduk then. This is where Marduk was prominent. So
okay, right, yeah.
A Marduk, since Marduk represents Jupiter or can represent Jupiter, you got this bridge called Pont a Wewer, the same name where the exaltation of Jupiter is, and where this constellation in the age of Marduk is, you got a bridge with the same name. But Gwywer, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, Gwywer also means squirrel, but Gwyw itself means, it's a positive word, like abundance or good luck, or handsome. But anyway, the word, right where it is, you got this little hamlet called Began, which means to beg, also to ask humbly. Now, I've looked to try and find out what anybody else has got for this meaning, and nobody seems to know where the word comes from, that I found.
In Welsh, yeah.
In Welsh, yeah. So the word Began, they know what it means, but they don't know why it's applied to
why it's called that, sorry, yeah. Yeah.
Now, the hired man, sometimes known as a farm worker, another way of interpreting those words, it means to appease the gods. So you got the way it's written. This is Gavin White now. He's put this idea forward that if you translate it a different way, it means to appease or to appease the gods.
Okay.
So if you got this hired man, which means to appease, and you were a person going there and you want to appease the gods, the way you would do it would be to pray, possibly, which is meaning to humbly ask, which means begging. So that is absolutely all I've got on that area.
Really?
That's everything. So, but there's a possible connection with begging and to ask.
Absolutely, yeah. Right under the foot of the hill there, yeah.
And the name of the bridge, this old bridge, and the name of the cane, which is where the exaltation of Jupiter is. So that was a short one. What is interesting down here? You got St. Mellons. Now, it's not going to be part of this, but you got two characters known as Lulal and Latarak. And on the star map, they would come below this Aries sort of figure. Now, there are two things that Gavin White mentions. He mentions that they've got this relationship with honey, and they were monks. Now, St. Mellons, the word for honey is male.
Male, yeah.
Yeah.
And one word for a priest or something like that, it's Llion. So you got Melchion, honey monk.
Hey.
So the phonetic English might be closer than the Welsh name, which is now Airog, I think. Airog. Air meaning gold. But then you got the honey and the gold. It means gold, that golden, that's it.
Golden, yeah.
Yeah, golden.
Right.
Which is mad because that around up this way, then you got a place called, it's no longer there, I don't think, a farm called Craig Arhail, which means the stone of the sun.
Mm-hmm.
And that's roughly where the exaltation of the sun would be. So you got Craig Arhail, the stone of the sun, where the exaltation of the sun would be. And you got the St. Melons or Melchion, this honey could be indicating the colour of the sun. And you got Airog, which means golden. So these names could be all representative of the sun.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I had a bit more than I remember then. Pisces is another one, which is, I mean, whether these are because they're more farmed out, these low-level areas, than the internal bits, and then they're more built on, and more people came in to live. I'm not sure. But basically, like I showed before, this St. Gwynflew.
Yeah.
You have Ananitum and the swallow, where they were known as the tails, and then this Gwynflew, the word flew, can mean fish or bird tail, and one's a fish and one's a bird.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's basically all I've got. That one place name, and it's where that star would be. And then we got Ita Piscium, which is a Tumulus Mott, which is down here. So those are that's the only real star you could say that there's something on the ground, 100%. But it's marked as a Mott now. And I don't think you can see it on there, but it was marked as a Tumulus.
You don't think the cathedral location is?
Yeah, that's exactly where it is.
Yeah. You do, right? Okay.
Sorry.
Cool.
Yeah, what I meant is there's nothing old.
Like nothing. Yeah. But we can probably assume that the cathedral was chosen
for certain reasons.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And if people want to see more, it's on is it the Enki and the Search for Eridu one? Where we went into more detail of this area.
I'm going to say yes, but I think it was, because we went from there to the Eagle and the Dead Man and up and up.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, apart from this constellation and the last one, every other constellation, you could double, treble, quadruple the amount of information there quite easily. But some of it's best to be left when you're telling showman the stories.
Yes, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So we slowly coming round. And like I said, no, if people just want to print screenies and print them out, carry on.
Yeah, cool. Open source.
So now we come to the crown of the panther, or Cepheus. Now this is where Alder Armin is. Now the panther is a name that they just tend to use, but it actually means the demon with the gaping mouth. Excuse me. The demon with the gaping mouth. So I'm assuming that it's got some kind of crown on it, because you don't see it with a crown on.
Okay.
But it's saying the crown of the panther is Alder Armin. But right above it is Cepheus, which is this pyramid type shaped, which looks like a crown.
Okay.
So where Alder Armin is, which is here, we have Tywyn Cai Syncreig. And over on the other side, where Tywyn Tudor is, you have Cwm Cai Syncreig. So Erai, which is a point in Cepheus, showing the tip of the pyramid or crown, and you got Older Armin, both with the same name attached to it, Sin Krieg. And then you find that Sin means sign, symbol, or temple in which kings are buried, but also Krieg or Grieg, which is Nol, Kin, or Tumulus. So you could say then is the tumulus where the king is buried.
Yeah.
In this crown constellation then.
Huh.
Now, on the bottom there, you've got one omen even refers to it, the panther with the as pouring water onto the right foot of the stag. Now, first of all, what I can gather that the only thing that they understand about this is because this creature constellation is a storm demon, that's why it could be pouring water out. But they don't understand why he's pouring water out onto the foot of the stag. So if we then go to the next one, the stag, the rainbow. So up here, hang on, seconds. Up this way, around that way, is Older Armin. And then the feet of the stag around here, and then the bodies here, and the antlers are up there. So if this is a crown of the panther and it pours out of his mouth water onto the foot of the stag, well, this is right by the river. It comes down this river onto the foot of the stag.
Oh, wow. That valley wasn't caused by massive flooding, was it, as well?
No, they look glacial. They all look glacial.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. What's interesting, I can't really find, apart from that omen, that thing when it says that the panther pours water onto the foot of the stag, apart from that, where you've got this river which matches up. There's no mention, I can't find anything to mention the stag there.
Okay.
But these are the stars of Cassiopeia. So in the Welsh legend, the Welsh character Don is an ancestor figure in Welsh legend and literature. She is typically seen as a mother of a group known as the Children of Don. Now, where these feet are over here, you have an area called Coed Mamgi, which mam means mother or ancestress, and gi means dear beloved. So his beloved mother or beloved ancestress or grandmother then. So you got a connection because Dawn is Cassiopeia.
Right.
You've got something on the ground now which you could tie in as this ancestress figure. So you might have a Welsh name attached to this constellation rather than...
Yes. Interesting. But it's interesting because you've shown this a couple of times, and it happens with Hughes where you see the sort of like cultural layers. You see multiple interpretations of the things in place. So you've got, as I say, you've got this idea that the stag's there because the water's coming down, but then when you get there, you get the Welsh tradition of
Now, up here you go Tywyn Orfel, which means cold air. And that's where the star Epsilon Cassiopeia is. And one of the outlying stars, I haven't got Mynydd Margan is a cane up there. So the stars are Cassiopeia, so they do that like type of
W shape, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the crude version.
Yeah.
Now it's said that in front of the breast of the stag is the rainbow. And they believe that one possibility, this rainbow is the Andromeda galaxy. So in the constellation of Andromeda, you got these like sort of three stars, one above each other. And it is M31, I think it is, the Andromeda galaxy, sometimes known as the dusky stars, just showing that they are not bright. So that suggests it could be the Andromeda galaxy. But smack on location, you have Tywyn Panteg. Pant is like hollow, and Teg is beautiful, fair. So there's nothing to say it's the Andromecal or the rainbow, but it be the timeless. It's marked on location.
Bang on, yeah.
Bang on, yeah. Right, so now we got the field and the horse. The field is the square of Pegasus, and the horse would is Pegasus itself. If you look at the modern day constellations, then so the horse is half inside the square of Pegasus and half outside. So right where here you have Gwyrna Ceffyl, or Gwyrna being Venus, and Ceffyl the horse. So and the square of Pegasus is roughly like that.
Mm-hmm.
So within there, you've got Gwyrna Ceffyl as Venus, the horse. If you look at Pulse Lord of David, they follow Rhiannon riding a horse, and they can never catch her. And it's quite often believed that Rhiannon represents the planet Venus. So here you got Venus the horse, or Rhiannon in Welsh literature, marked on the ground. So when we go into Pulse Lord of David, it'll show that it'll start down this area, goes up to the Penllyn where Polaris is, and then it'll weave its way back down. So there might be a reason why that is there.
Oh, interesting.
Now, the antlers of the stag and the mane of the horse can both represent the rays of the sun. So over in Betos, there's I don't know if it's a farm name, but it's Cwm yr Aur, which means the Valley of Gold. Now, that Valley of Gold doesn't mean there's gold there. It just means if this is the horse here, its mane, it's down there. It's representing the manes of the horse, which represent the sun. So you got Cwm yr Aur. So if you see the word Aur, just think sun.
Yeah, okay.
Rather than that there's going to be a load of wealth there. Because if we can see it today, then I'm sure somebody in the past have seen that. Oh, the Valley of Gold, let's go. And
yeah,
you're not gonna find anything. And then the field itself is known as the field, and the other constellation known as the Abyss, ruled over by Enki. So down here, you got this wet area called Gwastad Mawr, right within the field, which means a piece of level ground or a plain. And Mawr means large, great. So it means a great plain, which could be easily the field.
The field, yeah.
Yeah. And even though this one's a field and the other one's the Abyss, they can both be related to water, and the Abyss and this underground water. And remember, Enki is a lord of water as well. So diametrically opposite the field, you have the Abyss, which is north of Merthyr. And quite often you see this, but quite often there's a figure of Enki sat on a throne with the shape, these like squiggly lines on it, representing the water or the furrows in the field or the Abyss. So he's like sat on this, what they call a throne. But where the Abyss is, you got Cader Fawr, and Cader means chair or throne, and Fawr means great. So where it should be directly opposite this great plain is where the Abyss is. Excuse me. So the swine. I went into a bit more this last time in the Tale of Henwen.
Yeah.
So I'll just basically point out here. when you got these two stars, the pelvis of the pig is Alpha Lacerdae, and the breast of the pig is Omicron Andromeda. The breast is here. And between those two stars, the breast and the pelvis, you have Coedomoch, which is the wood of the swine or the pig.
Yep.
Yeah. And I just put this on because you got Tumbalum here, which on all the maps is Tywyn bathroom. And right on the end, which they now have as like a mott, it used to be a tumulus. That's what we used to call it. So I've only pointed these out to show that they all used to be called tumulus.
Yeah. No, I think that's great.
Yeah.
If I just go. Oh, what's happening? Oh, hang on. Right. You might have to cut that bit out. Was it on the great one then? Yes. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Great one. Yeah.
Do you want to break for 2 seconds?
Yeah.
I guess I need to get a drink of water. Okay, so we just move on to the great one, Aquarius. So what you got, I don't know if you can see clearly on, well, basically you got the constellation of Aquarius and then the constellation of Capricorn sort of overlaying each other then in a way. So if this is the head of Capricorn, you can say this is the head of Aquarius. So where that head is, you got Epsilon Aquarii, which you've got a field they call Chi Mainwood. And at that position, you got Kilvega. And if we break that down into Welsh, you get the possible meaning of the view of the back of the goldfish. So if this figure then is looking this way, here's the head and the body comes down there. So this is his back and his neck. So basically he's got this view of the goldfish and the name gives it you.
Mm-hmm.
And then further on down, on here, and these are what's known as the front basket, these stars. And if you look, there's 5 of them there. And it forms sort of like, what they call it, like a basket or something, but it's contained then in a way. Now, what is interesting is right smack bang in the middle of there, in these loosely circular stars, is Ringland Hill and a place called the Circles. And this is it's a hill, like it stands out from the rest of the area. It's just like this big lump of something, which I thought was quite revealing. Coincidence or just lucky that they managed to put into the right place?
Yeah.
So there's more in Enki in the search for Eridu. There's more on this character, the Great One, and Enki. So yeah, if you went there and look at that, this is, like I said, it's just an overview.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot more detail in that one about these constellations, isn't there?
Yeah. So now you've got the goldfish, Capricorn. Use the eye or the forehead of the goldfish. Up here would be the horns, which is where Bryn Pica is. Just like we had the horns of the goat in Capella, which was Koi Kai Pica. Before that, we had in Leo the Lion, we had Tara Nagavar, which is the rocky ridge of the goat, and above it was Bryn Pica. So in 3 places where there are goats, you got 3 places where there's this word Pica.
Pica.
And it just means a point of anything. So where these 2 tumuli are, they marked here. But I don't know if you can see it on here. This area around here is known as Craig Garkid. Rock boulder stone, and Gar means near, close to, in front of, and Car, friend or companion. and Kid or Keed are joining a couple in. Now, if you look at those two stars, they're both together. So whether that is indicating that those two stars, alpha and beta of the goldfish, are joined together, but that's what it looks like it's suggesting with the place name. And there are two tumuli there.
Oh. Are they in that strip of wood, are they?
Yeah, I'm saying there are two there. I haven't been there, but it's two tumuli written there and written there. So there's a camp in there. It's marked as camp, and then you got these two tumuli.
Oh, what? Okay, what, like camp, like they put on Iron Age stuff or prehistoric, where they don't really know what it is, and it's just a ditch and bank or something. Yeah.
Give it that one. So right, we've only got a couple more left. So we got the Anzu bird. So in the Epic of Anzu, it states he's somebody who waters cattle pens and who bound a mountain of stones. And this is from the Epic of Anzu, Stephanie Daly. So here we have Biarth, Maine, which means something like a farmyard, but can also mean a cattle pen. So you got this waters cattle pen. And this whole mountain, even though you got Mynydd Tywyn Glas, you got Mynydd Floyd, Mynydd Calch, all these individual names, the whole thing is known as Mynydd Main or Stone Mountain. So this is where Deneb is going to be here somewhere, possibly where a transmitter has been built. Because I can't find anything on the ground to indicate, but it is a transmitter up there. So anyway, from the Epic of Anzu, you've got these two names, and these are in the first couple of lines of the Epic. So we got this Alberio. This would be where the beak of Cygnus is, which is over here. And right there you have Star Farm, and you have Pentagon down here, or the chief, or major, or Garn, or Carn, or Cain. Now you have Theta Cygni, which is over here, and that's right by a pub which is now gone, called Star Inn. I mean, it couldn't be more obvious, I suppose. But,
no, yeah, I know what you mean.
And then you have Delta Cygni, which is on that mountain by there. It's marked by Paul Toman, or the pit of the tumulus, or the pool of the tumulus.
Strange.
But this Anzu bird, it might be something prominent that we look at when we come to the Epic of Gilgamesh, what it actually represents.
Okay.
So I don't know which order to do the ones I'm going to be doing next. I mean, you could go straight to the Epic of Gilgamesh, but it'll take quite a few episodes for that.
Yeah, we'll see what we'll talk about at the end.
Yeah, okay, no worries. So the Eagle and the Dead Man, I think there's only two left for us to do now. Like I said, I touched on this before. I've just done it slightly differently. So this concept of Eru or Aru, meaning eagle, but also meaning to be pregnant. And this Eagle and the Dead Man has a dual role of bringing life in from beyond, but also snatching up sinners and wrongdoers. So what I've added you've got marmalades in the area, which is Mam, mother, ancestress, source, origin, etc. Heel, which is seed, offspring, and Heel Adda, the human race, which could mean the mother of the human race. So this Eagle and the Dead Man and the concepts surrounding this area is about bringing new life in.
Yeah.
And then over to Garn de Faith is about taking the evil ones away. But what I've added here from this would be Enki's journey to Nippur. I've got Iota Aguilai, which is Kai Tumpin, and Tump just means hillock, knoll, or mound. So it's built on now, but where it would be, there's this field name called Kai Tumpin. And then Lander Aguilai, you also have Kai Dwayne or Dwayne to bring in, to introduce. So you got this other place name saying no, to bring in or introduce something from somewhere far away. So you could say this whole area is about the bringing in of new life.
Fascinating.
And then this is the last one of the constellations. Pablo-Sag or Sagittarius is another one where there's not a lot of information. When you go into the field names on tide maps, the more lowland you're in or the more east you go, the more they just got field, arable, tree. There's less information still available.
Yeah, well, I've looked at English field names are not particularly imaginative, and you get the same sort of generic names crop up over and over and over again. Stubble field and things like that.
Yeah. So as you go into the highlands, into the valleys itself, you've still got an abundance of field names. And it depends which farm you're in. One farm will have just arable plantation, and the other one will still have all its names there.
Yeah.
Anyway, so there's only 2 stars I could find for Pablo-Sag. One is the tip of the arrow, which is Theta Ophiuchi, which is here. And I don't know if you can see it on there, but it's actually marked as green tump.
Oh, interesting.
No, it is a blue. It is a. I can't remember if it's blue or green. I'm sure it is a blue star, but blue and green were always called lass.
Glass, yeah.
It was or glass or lass.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it's a blue-colored star, but green and blue were the same thing.
It could be a mistranslation of the English, can it?
Yeah.
Into English, sorry, yeah.
And then just below it, you have Cowan, where they're suggesting some kind of mound.
Yeah.
And then you have the sting of Pablo-Sag, which is marked by a tumulus. It's here. And that's Rose Sagittarii. And apart from one vague possibility, this whole area is to do with the forefathers. And at one point, it mentions something like the wind of the forefathers. Now, the wind of the forefathers, you could say then, is Blaenor, and Gwent could be Gwent. So Blaenor Gwent could be the wind of the forefathers. And there's an area not far from here down here, council called Blaenau Gwent, where Gwent could be Gwent and Blaenau could be. But that's
okay, I see what you mean.
So that's it's not quite in the right area, and it's
yeah. Bit more of a speculative one.
Very speculative.
Yeah.
So basically, that's the overview of the whole star map. And when I say an overview, it is an overview.
Mm-hmm.
Just before we go on to this short video I've done, I was looking at, these are the Atlas of Hill Forts of Britain and Ireland. I think it's in Oxford University, Hill Forts arc.ox, whatever. What I found interesting, in this central portion, is nothing. Except for Tumbalam there. There's a distinct lack of hill forts. With everywhere all the way around it, there are.
Yeah. And there's no lack of hills there, is there?
Yeah. So whether there's anything in that or just some haven't been identified, but it's not the only place where you get gaps.
Absolutely, yeah. There's lots
for
of
no
reasons
reason.
that could happen, but
Yeah,
that is a really interesting sort of, well, I say correlation, anti-correlation.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know what to make of that, but it was just, I looked at it and I thought, well, why in the world thoughts in the, because it's with the zodiac age, which then comes around bigger. There are plenty of hill forts, but this central bit.
Yeah.
Interesting, isn't it?
So yeah. And the other bit I put on here is nothing to do with the picture. A sort of rough way of date and things, pre something then. Because a lot of these things are cairns, and the cairns that I have shown are either Neolithic or Bronze Age. It can't be any later than 800 BC. So I just put a couple of names down there, but it sort of rules out those people almost straight away because it was before 800 BC.
Yeah, yeah.
That's assuming that the cairns are dated correctly, and that's the dates they are.
Sure.
So even from the Neolithic, you're going from 4,100 BC to 800 BC, which still does fit in with the Alba migration.
Yeah, yeah.
So I've got one thing left. Oh, that's that finished map now. So I've had a go at doing a little screen video, watch it sort of, to try and show you that I'm not just placing these randomly and what have you. So
can I just pause a sec? Sorry, yeah. Steve.
Okay, before I go into this video, just one thing which I mentioned before. This area here, where there don't seem to be any constellations, is where Wilson and Blackett has the mini star map then. Because if you look at the rest of it, it's pretty full.
Yes. Yeah.
Except for that one location where it doesn't seem to be. There are stars there, but there's no constellations then. And the stars that are there, they're really faint ones, so which is interesting in its own.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So what I'm going to just show you in a second is a video, just a 3-minute video showing you the pattern of the cairns and the stars matching up. So on the first part, I'd be taking away all these constellations and all on the map. So what it'll just leave these little yellow dots is where I'm saying that there is a cairn on the ground. I'm saying there's X, Y, and Z star. And then I'm going to take a planisphere, and those stars that I put on the ground where these cairns are, I'm going to put on the planisphere, then remove the planisphere and overlay the both to see if they match up. So let's see if this works, because I'm not sure if it'll work on Zoom, but there we are.
Give it a go.
Let's have a look. And it's just my first attempt doing a video. I put some music in it, so.
Right.
Already see the similarity. That's nice and slow, so you can see that you haven't.
Yeah.
You can move them. You can see exactly which ones you picked. Yeah.
I mean, it's not a perfect fit, but
I think on the scale you're looking
on the scale you're looking at, yeah.
That's the money shot. It's amazing on some of those as well. Like on your,
yeah,
it looks like that if you shifted over the whole thing, they'd all be accurate. So almost like the distance between them all is spot on.
Yeah.
But the planisphere and the star map are laid out maybe using a slightly different, I don't know, but
yeah, it's fiddly. So I just tried to show that the patterns are the same.
Absolutely, yeah. No, I that's what I'm getting at, and I think even what I was sort of trying to say then is that even where certain stars aren't off, on that whole constellation, looks like they're all off just a little bit the same way, you know, and just depending on how it was originally mapped out in the first place, could have just affected those locations compared to how that planisphere was designed 3,000 years later.
So looking at that, do you think that planisphere is laid out like a planisphere, as in it gets warped the further out you get, but still fits where the stars should be?
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to find the date of when that way of measuring things was first done.
Oh, well, right. Okay. So who first?
And I know if these canes are 800 BCE, then that's before it was first regarded as being invented, and that idea of
So I know you have, like, for instance, if you're mapping the globe, there's certain projections you use. So we're sort of like talking about how the mathematics of that sort of projection for the planisphere was first worked out, and by who.
Yeah. We really
as I was watching that, then I just that idea just popped into my head when it was.
No, that's interesting, because it requires a good bit of mathematical knowledge, doesn't it? And a fair bit of computing ability. I mean, even if that's that sort of computing or abacuses or whatever, but that's fascinating. But those are remarkable how close they are.
That is that's just amazing.
Well, what I said, I'm also doing. I'm going to be expanding that star map, and I'm going to be adding more kin. So you might have 60, 70 of them, or like that. 60, 70. After you get to a certain point, it's more difficult. Then you go by place names, or there's a stone there, or to start getting the other, and then some you just can't find. You know where they should be, and there's just absolutely nothing there.
I think that was a point to raise about some of your constellations where you've only got like maybe one star. But then that fits with the planisphere on where you've got 5 stars, or well, not 4 stars for another constellation. They still have the same relative space between them, and that's fascinating. So you reckon you've got more cairn points? You reckon you've got another 50 Ken points
Oh,
to add.
no, it's not going to be as many as 50, but the
50
ones
total.
Yeah, so it's 50, and somewhere, I haven't counted them, but it's somewhere between 50 and 70.
Ooh.
I mean, there's 34 there, I think.
Yeah.
If you add the doubles.
Yes, yeah. Finding 34 matching points like that as well.
Yeah. And then if I added the places where I found a stone, I can think off the top of my head at least 10.
Yeah.
Where there's a stone exactly where it should be. And then the names fit as well in some of them.
Amazing.
It is.
So, so you've got Apollonius of Perga, 240 BCE to circa 190 BC, responded to the problem, especially artifacts that's producing the theory of eccentrics and ecliptics.
Sounds like classical Greece they're aiming for.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things in prehistory that definitely came from a lot older than classical Greece, but is attributed to classical Greece,
Star color. Oh, that's something I'd have to look at rather than do it on the phone by
Yeah, well, on that bombshell.
Yes.
Thanks so much, Steve. That was brilliant.
No worries.
Thanks, Steve. It's awesome.
Well, you decide what you're going to do next, and we'll come back and do it.
Okay, yeah.
Great.
All right.
No worries.
And thank you for watching. And we'll see you soon. Take care.
Cheers.
Cheers.